Folks, today on Shallibodhran, I'm going to be talking about the dead zone. And what is the dead zone? It has more to do with reading the skin more than anything else, but I'll give you an example. Okay, we know that drums have lots of different types of skin, and we also know that drums have, let me see, I can get a bit more light here for you. Okay, let's try that. You can see the spine line on it. So you can see that the drum has, patterns on it. You can see it has different things on it that affect the sound a little bit, and they do. One of the reasons why a lot of drum makers will put the spine in the middle, especially if it's from the back of the animal, is that they're trying to get the skin as homogeneous as possible and try to make the sound as even as possible. And other drums, like you might find on the Christian Hedwig Shack TR Head and other models like the Cormac Byrne model, you'll notice that the spine is offset. And that's to give the drum unique playing properties. But what happens when you have drums like my Metloff here, which look like a uniform piece of skin cut from the side and belly? Well, there is a little bit of a difference on here, and I'm going to see if, I hope the camera can pick it up. You can kind of note it. See right here, the little Metloff star. Right in and around that. So we're here. I'm just going to turn it this way. I'm going to see if the camera will pick it up a little bit better. See if I can not. There we go. That's a little bit better on the eyes. Okay. This bit right here. When I run my hands over it, it doesn't feel like the rest of the drum head. It has a bumpiness, a rigidness to it that's not found in other sections. This could be a piece where the spine kind of cut off from or whatever. I don't know. It's a good question. Or it could be down near the buttocks of the goat. Again, I don't know. But it does lend itself to certain playing properties. When I normally play this drum, I use that little star bit on the front there as a place to gauge where I'm hitting on the drum. And normally when I'm playing on this one, I keep that dead hit zone, which is that feels rougher, sort of thicker sort of section, on the bottom, because I just happen to like that. But there's a reason why. And when I play, however, and after experimenting with any drum for a while, I actually like having that at the bottom that I won't get from the top. Now this microphone's probably not going to pick it up all that well, and I'm using this tipper specifically because of the weight and the way that it strikes the skin, but at the top, see, it's pretty crisp, and if I try to move it around, still pretty crisp. Here's the dead zone spot. Trying to get it in there. It's not that crisp. I got it. I got it pressed right in. But there's a difference versus the that I'm getting at the top, that extra crack. One of the things in Bodhran playing, especially if you just got a new drum and you're relatively new and you're trying to enjoy and capture an evenness of the sound, is to understand what it's doing on the skin and more importantly, what is the skin telling you? What is this circular map telling you and where to play? Basically, from what I've, at least in my experience, and this is my opinion only, is that when you look at areas like my dead zone here, come on, it's got a little bit of a different zone here. When I play areas like the dead zone, I can't eliminate the dead zone. If I eliminate it completely, I'm going to be putting it under here, which is one way of dealing with it. Then you just deal with all the softer sections of the skin. But the dead zone is useful because it makes the skin sound unique. And the dead zone is useful because it helps you do other things with it, which is why I put the dead zone on the bottom. And it gives a dead, clunky sort of sound versus that really bouncy I don't get it here. So that whole difference in playing, I can enjoy that by having the ability to learn where and how the dead zone can be useful. So one thing I really like the dead zone in is in reels. So if I'm just getting a 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to start perhaps playing with it. Now I'm regularly a top end player, so I end up doing a lot of when I want, let me adjust the camera here, I have the ability to just drop it into the dead zone. You know, the dead zone's really, really useful if you're trying to get the best and the most out of your skin. Now, the best out of your skin might be the sounds that you are specifically focusing on, which means you may just play in those softer regions. But if you're someone who's trying to get the most out of your skin and try to use the skin to its fuller potential, you definitely want to experiment with the areas of the dead zones and various sections of the skin. Yeah. When I'm normally playing a centerline drum like this, I will normally have the skin going, see how my shoulders lined up at the top of the spine? I will normally play it diagonally downward, because I like to have the cleanness of the belly sections, or the softer sections. And then I like the idea of having something to crack against, so that sort of thing. Also, if you're someone who likes to use the Seamus O'Kane flick, that sort of boom, 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 boom sort of hits, it's neat because you can actually get bell tone like bong sounds coming from the bottom, especially if the skin has a heavy set pattern on it. Here's another example. So I have the 20-inch drum here. You can clearly see this is an asymmetrical design. Very asymmetrical. And when I'm doing hand playing, I actually don't like this up here. I turn it this way, because I find that the rebound back is the right amount of softness that I like. You know, the nice thing about having asymmetrical patterns and patterns that are a little bit different is that you learn how to get the most out of it. And you can experiment it, because sometimes it's like playing multiple types of drum with one drum. You know, you can have a lot of fun trying to figure out. My old Waltons, incidentally, my old double skin, I used to have this sort of pattern on the same drum, except I would put the hard bit at the top, because for some reason it worked best. The dead zone. It's useful for a whole bunch of things. It helps control and regionalize sections where you can get lots of bounce and softness. It also helps eliminate some of the overtones because it's almost like a thicker section. It disturbs the membrane in a different way. And it's also probably a reason why many people are not too hot on, so say they might buy a drum from a maker and the skin on it doesn't please them after a year. Maybe they sell the drum and they buy the exact same model off of someone else, and then suddenly they love that drum. A lot of it has to do with people not getting intimate enough and understanding the skin on these drums. You know, I would only really be selling one of these drums personally if I had gone through it fully, intimately, and figured out that I just really, really, really don't like the setup. It just cannot work with me. You as the player are going to have to decide what works with your style of playing and how the skin's going to work with you. If you're out there talking to makers and you're looking for to have a drum made for you, like Hedwig or Faulkner or Brincollier, let them know what kind of section cut of the skin is possible. Some people like Christian Hedwig, when he makes orders for the TR head, actually posts the big chunk of skin and says, here, take your pick from 12 different circle sets. So hopefully you know enough to know which one you'd like to pick. But that's, to me, the number one reason why people kind of give up on some drums and then purchase the same drum later and then end up loving it, is because they're not getting enough time to really figure out which way the skin for them should be facing. This drum for me, I don't really play it as a Bowron. I play it more as a tar. But that's just something I find more useful in these gigantic drums. It also really benefits the big skin. I can really control it. Whereas other drums like my Matloff, much more uniform in general. This one tends to get a lot more play on stage and whatnot in groups. But it does not play a hand drum, even though it does sound nice as a hand drum. You figure it out. That's one of the great things about trying to figure out any sort of frame drumming or Bowron playing, is that, you're going to be getting intimate with it. And that's the wonderful thing about having something like this, is you can get intimate with the instrument. And it's skin, so you can get intimate with skin. So if you're interested in more info about this, let me know. I also did one previous video about this on the Facebook webpage, on Shallibodhran on Facebook, that addresses the same thing. This is just more of a follow-up to that, specifically looking more so at what that one dead zone section of the skin is. So, also, if you're interested, there's the Runo no Snooty videos from Skanamara, the video called Belly versus Back. Check that one out too if you want another very quick and also fairly detailed explanation, generally, of what sections of the goat that's cut from. So, thanks very much, and until next time, bye.